Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I am Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I have an entire newsroom of political spirit guides that help me answer your questions when you send them in to me. So thanks for sending me your questions. I really appreciate it. Yes, you too can have your own newsroom of I feel like I'm doing a commercial for spirit guides. Yes, you too can have your own political newsroom spirit guides to answer these questions. Or you may have a spirit guide that helps you with a remodeling job or losing weight or anything. All you have to do is ask and then pay attention to the signs and they may give you guidance in all kinds of ways, right? Songs, thoughts, other people say things, dreams, repeating numbers, any number of things. So just pay attention to the signs and you too can have your own spirit guides. Which we all do. Anyway, enough of that silliness. Let's get cracking. Let's get cracking on your questions. So I'm going to ask my spirit guides your questions. We're going to start with Mary Myers. And Mary Myers wants to know, what does Ruth Bader Ginsburg what is she telling us about the midterms and Roe v. Wade? What does Ruth Bader Ginsburg want to tell us about the midterms and Roe v. Wade? Well, so she's here on my right-hand side. She's much smaller than you would think. It's like Prince. When Prince came, he's tiny, right? And she's very tiny. Anyway, so she's telling me, she's all about the business. She's like, come on, let's go. She's showing me young women. She's showing me young women. These women look like they're in their bedrooms. They could be teenagers. They could be, 18, 19. They're in their dorm rooms. They're in their bedrooms. They're sitting on the bed, looking at their phones. They're young women. And she says that they are motivated in ways that we could not see. So there's going to be a theme throughout this reading, probably, of illumination, right? We talked about when we had a Fefe with a Touched by Tarot on the channel. If you haven't seen it, it's brilliant. She really helped me understand what is going to happen with the day that we go and do the thing. If you are new here, I can't say certain words, but we have a total lunar eclipse and some other things going on. So we're going to have some illumination. We're going to have it's a full moon eclipse. So we're going to be having some weird illumination. So what she is saying, Ruth is saying, is that we are not going to know. We're not going to suspect. And even more importantly, we're not going to understand. So after these votes are cast and we can see the real truth of what's happened, not the polls, not any of the silly stuff that's happening now, but after the actual votes are can't say those words, are cast, we're going to know. And then we're going to seek to understand. And hopefully some sociologists will be able to figure out who was behind this surge in appearing to do their thing. So she's saying that these young women grew up with all of these things that they've taken for granted because they just were, right? Roe v. Wade just was. Like, if you needed to do it, you could do it. Their place in society, the fact that they can go to college, that they can have their own bank accounts, that they can start their own companies, that they really have a level of independence, women do, that has never, it's a new level of independence that hasn't been seen before. So she is saying that these women, these young women, are now realizing that these are relatively new freedoms that have been won and hard won. And so what they feel is something has been taken from them. They feel robbed. They feel like something has been taken from them, a right that they had, they grew up with, that they counted on. It's as if someone stole their backpack or their phone. I mean, that's how they feel. They feel like something really important has been taken from them. So they will be organized and agitated. They will go and do the thing. But they won't stop there. These women now understand. It's as if someone has given them glasses and they can see clearly for the first time. They can see that this is effed up, right? That this situation is not how they want their community, their state, their United States. They don't want this. If they are considering having kids, they don't want to raise kids in this community, in this state, in this country. They want to change it. So what she is telling me, RBG is telling me, these women will be a force to be reckoned with. They will be the force, she says. They will be the force that breaks down these patriarchal structures and then rebuilds them with more balance between the sexes and also between the races. So she says they are going to be the force going forward. For the next 10 to 12 years, she says they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So, and she's thrilled, right? Because I don't know this about her, but she apparently had an affinity for young people, that she often spoke with young people, be they young attorneys or whatever, or law students. She had an affinity for young people, and she often spoke to them and with them. And she couldn't be happier. And she's saying that justice is coming. She's addressing me. Justice is coming, Susan, and it's coming swiftly. It's merciless. She says justice knows no mercy. That's what she's saying. She's badass. She's saying justice knows no mercy and knows no bounds, meaning that there aren't people that are safe from justice, right? You can't be a criminal and hold office, and that will keep you safe from being held to account, is what she's saying. There are no guardrails. Lady Justice will come and clear the decks. She just said, Lady Justice is coming to clear the decks. There is no one is above the law. No one is above justice. And I'm getting like super chills. And she's saying that she doesn't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. She doesn't care who they are. If they are breaking the law, they will be held to account. And she says, March of 2023, expect some big announcements or rulings. I think it's more like both announcements and rulings. And she's saying, mark my words. So I suggest we invite her back to talk to us in March. Thank you for your question, Mary Myers. And thank you so much, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for coming and talking to us today. I really appreciate you. Much love and light to you. Okay, let's move on. BJ Helder says, I have seen videos of Ukrainian drones blowing up Russian tanks. I am excited when I see this. Yet then I realize that this winning against the enemy is probably a pretty low vibration emotion. Same emotion for political wins. Is there a way to stop this or overcome this easily? Boy, BJ, I totally get it. In the beginning of this thing with Ukraine, this attack, I was doing the same thing. I was like, yeah, blow them up. It's terrible. And then I realized the same thing you did. These are people, right? These Russian soldiers, for most of the war, the majority of them are just kids that got conscripted. Of course, there are some that are horrible, evil people. Absolutely. But a lot of them are just been thrust in this position through no fault of their own. And it's a human life. So now I don't watch that anymore. I'll tell you, BJ, I do not, I'm going to say the words I do not partake in violent imagery. I really don't. It is very low energy. So now, for the other part, which is the politics, right? When we're rooting, like I'll give you the example of last year when I asked my spirit guides literally every day when 45 was going to cross over. When is this man going to die, And they finally said, this is too much, right? Your energy is focused too much on this. And it felt like a chastisement, and I took it as such, and I stopped asking, even though I still hope. But anyway, so for the political stuff, I think it's a good thing to do is the most benevolent outcome, right? Listen, this is above our pay grade, many of us, maybe certainly above mine. But here's the thing. Some people are going to lose. Some really popular, big name people are going to lose next week. Potentially the man that I want for governor, his energy has reversed and it doesn't look good. And I just have to, I have to accept that, right? That's what makes us different than the Republicans. We accept when things don't go our way. So what I would suggest is, now in the case of Beto, they're telling me it's in his own best good. I'm just telling you what they're telling me. 1-800 Spirit Guides, press 1 for complaints. It's not me. And this is the conversation I'm having, or BJ and I are having, is that we want what we want. Of course, we want justice. Of course, we want democracy to live. But we also have to understand that these are lessons. And if we're not learning the lesson, then the lesson's going to repeat. And even if you and I have learned the lesson, obviously, a good portion of our population hasn't learned the lesson. So it will continue for them. Now, how do you keep your emotion high? How do you keep your vibration high when, there's all these things happening? Well, first of all, I would say that Beto is going to go on to a bigger and better thing. Listen, if he were governor, he would get nothing done. Zero. Our whole Congress is Republican, mostly. It would be a thankless, defeating, horrible job for him. Could he stand up there and give us a better idea of what a leader is? Yes. Could he stand up there and say, this is what we should do? Yes. Will he get anything done? No. So I feel like, and I also feel like his safety is at risk. And I feel like the guides are saying, no, you are an important person. You're an important leader. We need you. We would rather you lose this and win that, where you're going to have more impact. Okay. If you go back to my really old videos, you'll see that I said Beto was going to lose for a long time. The guides kept telling me he's supposed to be senator. I said this on the video. Then his energy changed around 3 months ago. I started saying, okay, he's going to win. The energy changed. Okay, great. The timeline shifted. Now the timeline is shifted again. This is not easy work we do. Everybody has free will. I can't guarantee you the outcome because, first of all, there's all the Texans that are doing the thing with their ballots that have free will. There's suppression of the VOTE. There's a lot of things going on here that we don't even know about. Okay. Plus there's the energetic influence. So what we're going to do, how we're going to keep our vibration high, first of all, is we're going to send love and light to an intermediary. I don't care if that's Jesus. I don't care if that's Metatron, Archangel Michael, Mother Mary. I don't care if it's an alien. I don't care. Send your energy to an intermediary and let that intermediary disperse it to its highest calling. Now, what are we doing when we do that? We're giving up control of the outcome. I'm not sending energy to Beto. I'm sending energy to the intermediary, and the intermediary is going to diffuse it to the right energies. In doing so, we're becoming an observer. We're allowing something bigger than us to take over, and that's faith. So going forward, a lot of people are going to win. We are going to have more Democrats in the Senate. We're going to have more Democrats in the House. I don't care what they say. But some of our beloveds aren't going to make it. That doesn't mean they're gone. It means that they live to rule another day. It means that they'll be back to help us. And it also might mean that some people in that state, Texas, I'm looking at you, have got lessons to learn with their crooked leaders, which leads me to say that I do believe that some of these crooked leaders, and they would be the crooked leaders in Texas and the crooked leaders in Florida, are going to face the music next year. So even though, now specifically here in Texas, even though that crooked leader may win, believe me when I say, they're not going to serve the next term. They're going to be out, because it's just like RBG said. She said, justice knows no bounds. Clear the decks. So even after this ELECTION, Lady Justice is still going to be roaming the United States, taking crooks out. So it's not going to stop with November. It's going to continue going. That justice is going to continue taking people out. So yes, it would be terrible, but in the end, it's all going to be okay. Everything is going to be accounted for. It's like we're getting all our stolen goods back. So that's what I would say, is don't look at the things that are ugly and negative and terrible. Don't look at them. Don't give any energy to it. That's just connecting you to a cesspool of yuck. Why would we want to do that, right? So pull your energy back, send it out, let it be used to its highest good, and then focus on you, knowing that a bigger energy has control of the situation. And if you see my light kind of flashing in the background, I see that every once in a while. I think it's from a window. But if it's not, that's cool too. Okay, thank you, BJ, for your question. I'm going to be a lot faster after that. Hopefully that made sense. Let's see. A says, could you please share if the cost of living will go down once the Democrats win the midterms? I can say that word. Specifically, rent for those renting apartments and homes, and basically inflation. Yes, dear, I see prices going down. I see gas going down. I see our energy bills going down. I see there are some areas in the United States that the rents are not going to go down. I mean, San Francisco, right? Maybe Denver, maybe, all of Colorado. I don't know. There are places where the rents aren't going to really go down, but for the most part of the country, the rents are going to stabilize. I'm going to be honest with you. Landlords don't reduce rents unless they're in dire straits. I don't know that I see landlords reducing rents so much, but I do see rental assistance coming to you. So I see much more assistance. Now, somebody keeps asking me, are we going to have stimulus checks? It's not in this list, but it's been in almost every other one. I don't see stimulus checks, but I do see programs like this, rent assist programs, prescription assist program. I see more programs. Now, of course, this is also going to be blocked by Republican states. So if you live in Texas, you're probably, out of luck. But if you live in a Democratic state, yep, the funds will be flowing to you. And that's all the more reason why we have to get involved. Even if Texas doesn't go the way we want it to, we don't give up, right? We don't give up. That's the thing. We've got to continue funding these local clubs. These clubs are the ones that do all the work. We've got to continue helping them. They can't do it without help. The Republicans write blank checks. They have headquarters and strip malls here. They have billboards. Okay, what are we doing? surely we've got $25 to give to our local Democrat club. So we get busy. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Thank you. But yes, I do see prices coming down, food prices coming down, assistance coming to you. Overall, things are going to get better for you. So that's good. Thank you for your questions. Cindy P, how are you, Cindy? Says, will there be any consequences with law enforcement for Doug Mastriano, who's the Pennsylvania governor candidate, crossing police lines during the January 6th insurrection and his lies about Trump winning the election? Will he be dealt with legally? Doug Mastriano is really a piece of work. Probably the poster boy of how bad it can get, like almost like Alex Jones, right? That kind of just terribleness. Yes, the guides are saying, yes, he will pay a price for his actions. That's the words they want to say. He will pay a price for his actions. I think that also means that he's going to pay. And I know sometimes we think that the fines that these people get are just like nothing, right? But remember, Alex Jones got a huge fine. So these fines can be significant and substantial. And in this case, I feel like this money is going to really take a big chunk of his money. Like, I mean, 3/4 of his, his total net worth. Okay. He's going to pay a price, not only legally, but civilly, and also monetarily. So he will. And that's important because we've got to stop people from saying these things. This is what Biden's going to be working on in 2023, is working with Congress to pass laws to stop this hate speech, to stop this defamation, to really hold these people accountable, whether they're in the media, like Tucker with an F, or Mastriano, who's running for politics. We don't care. We don't care what your soapbox is. You're going to clean it up because we're going to hold you accountable. So I think that's good news. Thank you, Cindy P, for that question. Lisa Rivas says, will MTG, we all know who that is, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, be indicted for Jan 6? Indicted. She's in trouble. Okay. They want to use the word trouble, which is not nearly as satisfying as indicted. I just want to lodge a complaint myself with 1-800-SPIRIT Guides. She will be in trouble. This trouble will follow her around like a bad, I don't know, a shadow. It's going to follow her, or it's going to dog her. I hate to malign dogs, but it's going to follow her around. She's not going to shake it. And it's real trouble. Okay. It's not, this isn't like when did you guys, was it her that kicked that reporter in the back of the leg? I mean, it's so ridiculous. Anyway, it's not that kind of thing where people chastise her and then she doesn't care. So she just goes on and then people stop chastising her because she doesn't care. It's not like that. This is actually going to follow her around. I feel like it could become an indictment. It's serious trouble. It's serious trouble. She's going to be in serious trouble over January 6th. It's not going to happen soon enough for you or me, Lisa. It's going to take some time for them to they just use the words, put the screws to her. Okay, it's going to take some time, but she is going to eventually pay a price for sure. Thank you for that question. Daniel B says, will they find the person that planted the pipe bomb on Jan 6? Was it MTG? Okay, I have an unpopular opinion, I think. I don't see it being her. Let me check with them again. It's not that she wouldn't do it. It's not that. I mean, she has the energy that says that she might support something like that. It wasn't her. They just keep telling me it wasn't her. Now, Could it be somebody that dressed like her? Absolutely. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that look like her, the swing of the arms, the shoes, there's so many things, right? But they just keep telling me it's not her. Did somebody ask? I feel like somebody asked in these questions if they would find that person. And they're saying, yes, they have a bead on that person. They know who that person is, but they cannot charge or indict them yet because they don't have enough evidence. They really don't have enough evidence. It was very well concealed. So they just have to wait until they get overwhelming evidence. Like, I mean, again, what do they always say about Garland? He's got to have not just enough evidence. He has to have 5 times more than he needs evidence. So there's no way that these people can slip out of the charges. Okay, so now we're going to be going to the Stone Spirit. If you guys want to check out a really cool woman who does amazing readings using crystals and rocks, and not a reading like you've ever had before, check out thestonespirit.com because she's amazing. Okay. Shortly after Biden was elected, she says she had a vision of him with a halo. Would we recognize any of his spirit guides? And what will history view as his greatest contribution as president? Great question, the Stone Spirit. Right now, when I go into his energy right now, he has a group called the Council. Now, Biden knows this. I mean, he's a Scorpio. He knows that on one level, he knows that he has this intuitive connection to this council. But on this council, just quickly, is FDR and Kennedy and Mother Teresa and one of the popes, John Paul, maybe? John Paul, I don't know which one. Lincoln is on his council. George Washington. That's funny because he's still dressed the same way and he really looks silly. Okay. Anyway, Mahatma Gandhi's on his council. Nelson Mandela. There's a woman, I can't get it. There's a woman who I can't get her name. I'm sorry. RBG is there, but she spends a lot more time at the Supreme Court than she does with him. She's talking to Roberts. RBG is talking to Roberts. Anyway, he has this council. That's a very unique, I'm channeling this, so I don't remember who I just told you, but I kind of remember some of them. But there's more. There's more people, but they are guiding him. And then your question was, what will history view him as his greatest contribution as president? Well, I think they'll say that he saved democracy, that he stood, I think this is a famous phrase, but stood in the breach. I mean, a breach, I'm seeing a breach, it is in a dam where you stand in the breach of the dam and you stop the water, but also there's a breach in the terms of military, but I think that's a famous term. But anyway, he's going to be historical. He will be the father of democracy. They just called him the father of democracy. And he never compromised. They're going to say that he never compromised, and he hasn't. He never compromised on democracy, on freedom, on justice. He said, we're going to hold these people accountable. We don't care if they're past presidents. We don't care if they're judges. We don't care if they hold elected office. We don't care if they're mega rich. We don't care. If you break the law, we're going to hold you accountable. He's not making it easy for anybody. That's what they're saying right now. There is no, quiet phone call to say, look, I'm going to cut you a deal. There's none of that. He's hands off. He's like, go get him Garland, So he's going to be very well respected as a president. Now, this might take some time, as most things do, right? But he's going to be looked at as a historic president. So thank you for your question, Stone Spirit. Appreciate that. Carla B says, recently the U.S. has issued export controls on advanced computer chips against China. Is this about competitive advantage or to prevent China from accomplishing something? Will this be effective? Yes, it's actually all the above the guides are saying. Your question is it about competitive advantage? Yes. Is it to prevent China from accomplishing something? Yes. Is it also to prevent, again, Biden, we learned something really important during the pandemic, and that is we have to be able to produce important things either in our country or in an ally's country. So Biden is trying to create, this is again back to Venezuela and all these other places, Brazil, all these other places. Biden is looking to make new partnerships with other countries and or bring these critical components back to the United States. We do not trust China. We cannot have them be the only maker of these chips. If we go to war with anybody, we don't want another country that we don't trust controlling something that makes everything that we use, including our weapons. So this is a strategic thing. It's an important thing. Biden will have the government underwrite these companies to allow for them to pay the higher labor costs to produce it here. It's a strategic, important thing that we have it here. So yes, all those things are true. Thank you for your question. So we have a question here from Kibibi. So sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Tahima. Will the two Black women, Fulton County poll workers, win their defamation lawsuits against Rudy Giuliani? Yes, they will actually. They will win. Will the two Black women, Fulton County poll workers, win their defamation lawsuits? Yes, they're saying yes. I don't know why they're going to be vindicated. I mean, surely they're not waiting on this to be vindicated. I mean, surely they're vindicated. You know what I mean? But apparently, the energy suggests that that they feel that they need this to be vindicated, right? I see it now. I see it how they're showing me. They were wrongfully accused, and they should have their names cleared, and this will clear their names, and they will be vindicated. So that makes sense. Thank you for your question. Sandra Smith says, Jamie Harrison DNC is Jamie Harrison DNC keeping donated money? Are you asking me, is he keeping it for his own personal use? Or I'm not sure, keeping the money. I don't, Sandra, when I go into that energy, what I see is political infighting. I see that Jamie is saying, I'm going to keep this money in this bank account, not his bank account, in the DNC's bank account, and I'm not going to spend it. Now, I hear the Democrats hue and cry. We need to spend every little penny we have. This is super important. We have to empty our coffers on these races, and he is refusing to do so. He wants to save some money back for maybe runoffs or maybe just seed money for the presidential election in 2 years, right? So I feel that this is not a personal thing that he's doing. I feel that it's a political decision that he's made that has people accusing him of misappropriating the money, but I don't see that. So thank you for your question, Sandra. Jula the Tarot says, do we see the crazy continuing for 3 more years? Or does it start to get better in 2023, 24, or 25? People have lost their darn minds. Golly, Jula the Tarot. Yeah, well, it's going to get better next week. Listen, guys, the spirit guides want to implore you to not get caught up in a downward spiral just because 1 or 2 people lost their very public elections, or that the crazy Republicans are going around contesting everything and making a mess of everything. Listen, we know this is going to happen. The polls are saying, even this morning, that the Republicans are going to win, and they're not going to win, and nobody's going to understand why. And of course, that's going to cause a lot of people to say a certain thing happened with the STEAL. And of course, all kind of shenanigans is going to happen. And that's going to go on for a little while, maybe even a month. And then we'll sort it out. So even given all of that, we have to really learn to focus on our wins. The spirit guides used to say, count your wins twice, because we don't even count them at all. All we ever do is focus on where we lost, where we made a mistake. We should instead really focus on where we got it right. Celebrate that. Count it twice. Because there's a lot of good going on here. Look at all of these kids being energized to vote. These kids will be voters for the rest of their lives. They will be engaged in a new way, we haven't seen, maybe since the 60s. There's a lot of good here. There's a lot of really, really good stuff here. Don't let a couple of crazy Republicans color everything, right? I know it's terrible. It's terrible what happened with Nancy Pelosi's husband. It's terrible, these things that are happening. It's horrible. And we're going to see other horrible things. But it doesn't negate all the good things. We can't let it do that. We have to keep our vibration high. So I think, yes, things are going to be good next week. Personally, I see us winning the presidency in 24. I see that. I think everything starts to calm down after the guides have told me December is going to be good for us. Whatever holiday you celebrate in December, it should be relatively calm and peaceful. And also I think that retailers are going to have good sales, which is always important for Wall Street. So I think that going into 23, it's going to be much better, much, much better. For one thing, we're wearing these MAGAs out. They're getting worn out. They've been fighting and raising Cain for so long. They don't have it in them anymore. And right after this, let's just say in December, you're going to start seeing real indictments. You're going to start seeing those grand juries that are happening in secret right now. You're going to start seeing them put forth indictments. And in next year, you're going to see people getting indicted, one after another, charged, sentenced, one after another. You're going to see huge, whatever that is they're showing me, I don't know, reveals of criminal activity among some really big Republican elected officials. And they're going to go down the tubes, you guys. So even if they win in this cycle, Lady Justice is coming to kick their butt next year. So I feel that even though, yes, it's going to be bumpy, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be bumpy. Might be a little cray-cray, might be a little roller coaster, but overall, we're still, if you have a roller coaster like this, but you're still going up, we're still going up. It might be bumpy, but our graph is going up, you guys. It's not bumpy going down. It's bumpy going up. So keep reminding yourself of that. We are going in the right direction. Of course, when you catch criminals, they're going to fight. They're going to complain. They're going to make a big fuss. Of course they are, right? We wouldn't expect them to do anything else. So when they do that, then we know that we've got them. They're hooked. They're fighting. They're fish. They're hooked. They're fighting the line. So yes, I see overall really good things. I really do. And these MAGAs are older, and they're going to be crossing over. They're not going to be hanging around for another 5 years. They're just not. They can't hang with this elevated frequency and vibration. So take care of yourself, right? So that you can hang with that beautiful new frequency and vibration. Okay, let me move on. Get me on a soapbox and I won't shut up. Okay. Star Sapphire says, what sort of new laws will be passed in the U.S. by July 4th, 2024? That's a very specific question, Star. By July 4th. That means the first session. Well, they're talking about codifying Roe V Wade. They're talking about codifying choice. They're talking about a law regarding some sort of truth in communication law. So there might be new laws around food safety, because that's a big deal. We're hanging on a thread here with our food safety, you guys, a thread. It's not good. A lot of things were done during the pandemic that were not up to code in these packing plants, processing plants. And it's not good. We're a hair away from some big issues. So they're going to be doing that. I can't get whatever else they were saying. So I think I'm going to move on. But there will be new laws. There will be some really good, important laws. There's some consumer protection laws coming. Consumer protection laws, also laws around loans, like student debt companies, about how much they can interest. There's a lot of consumer laws. What's her name is getting ready. Not only Katie Porter, but the other lady that is really big into consumer laws. They're Elizabeth Warren. They're just like this. They're getting ready to write those laws. And Sheldon Whitehouse and all of those people, right? All those Democrats that really care deeply about how Americans have been so poorly treated by corporations. It might even take a stab at shadow money, dark money. So that's interesting, right? Very interesting. And I'm sure much more. It's hard for me to come up with this, so quickly. But thank you for your question, Star. Love Always Wins says, will there ever be news we can trust, or is this just our new reality? Will we ever get a handle on the spread of misinformation? So, that's interesting. In some ways it is our new reality, but in some ways it isn't. Again, what we just said was there will be new laws that will require reporting to be truthful, media to be truthful. It really could impact me, because how do I prove that I'm being true or not true? This is how Fox News has gone around it. This is why we all say for entertainment purposes only, because that's how Fox News has gotten around doing this, and they could just as easily say that I'm making things up, right? So it could really affect me as well in this arena. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I just want, if it has to be a thing that slices across everything and doesn't make exceptions, then I'm going to be okay with that. So hopefully that answers your question. I would also say that these journalists are now opening their own, the really good ethical journalists are like Justice Matters, right? Like all these people are opening their own sort of shop, and you will start to get your news from journalists that you admire, and you will pay them. Maybe you'll join their Patreon group and support them that way. Maybe you will join something. So journalism has now been decentralized, basically. We're not going to care about NBC or CNN anymore. We're just not. We're going to go to people we trust. And if it ever gets to a point where we don't trust them anymore, then we just stop watching them. We pull our resources back from them and we go to somebody else. So it's a very different landscape, very, very different landscape as far as journalism goes. Thank you for your question. Tracy Ritchie says, will the two political parties ever manage to work together for the good of the country? Will they actually put our country before parties? So tired of divisiveness. Tracy, it's such a good question. Not, and maybe this is what Jewel of the Tro was talking about with the cray. Not in the near future. I'm sorry to say that. There seems to be a disruptor energy that stays with us for a while. And I think this is borne out through some sort of astrological thing about our chart, or the United States' chart. But I do think we're going to have continued disruption for the next couple of election. I wish I hadn't said that word, cycles. But with every cycle we get, it's clearer, it's cleaner. You know what I mean? We work through it all. My good friend Alan said it's like emptying out the septic tank. But we were talking this morning and we were saying that you're going to empty it out, like the truck is going to come and hook the hose up and it's going to fill the truck up. And the guy's going to be like, my God, I'm full. I'm going to have to come back and do this again. So if you think about it like that, we're emptying the swamp, the septic tank, but it's going to have to happen again and again and again. It's not going to be a one-time process. It's going to be a multiple time process. So I think that can help us all adjust our expectations. If we know we're going to clean house next week, then we're going to clean house again next year. And then we're going to clean house again towards the end of the year next year. Then we're going to clean house again the next year. This stuff is too embedded in our society, our democracy, our courts, everything. We can't just yank it all out at once. It would kind of kill the country. You know what I mean? It would be too damaging to yank it all out at once. We have to be surgical. Okay, we remove that. Next time we're going to remove this. Next time we're going to remove this. Okay. So, but we are working towards that. And I do see a time where it's much less divisive, because this divisiveness, we're going to legislate it out. We're going to legislate it out. We're going to law and order it out. We're not going to allow it to happen. We're going to get right on these people when they say these things, and we're going to start slapping them with some sort of charge or some kind of fine. And this is where the guides are saying, people say, I've been canceled, I can't say anything. Well, if what you're saying is inciting violence, then we're going to cancel your butt. We're going to stamp canceled right on your big fat butt. You're right, we are. So this is what we have to do. We just have to do this. We're going to go into a time called law and order, which is much more regulated. We're going to have to regulate the media. The First Amendment is going to get a little squeezed, because these people are using our own freedoms to attack us. They're using our own Constitution to beat us over the head. So we have to figure out how to surgically fix that First Amendment so that it works for us in 2022, 23, and 2024 and onward. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for your question. Mickey Walk says, if the Dems make a strong showing in the midterms, what's a couple of unintended domino effects that show up in the world at large? I think that's such a fascinating question. So if the Dems make a strong showing in the midterms, such a couple of unintended domino effects that show up at the world. Well, first of all, of course, right, you're going to see more world aid. I don't see us going into a war with anybody. I see more aid. And I think that the United States is going to learn that we have more to give than just money or agricultural crops. So I think you're going to see us sending some of our best and brightest over to help other countries with their infrastructure or their political system. You know, a country that could really benefit is Mexico, right? They're right next to us. And not Mexico, actually Central America, where these people are fleeing from Central America into Mexico and trying to get in the United States. So if we can reach out to some of these countries and really help them, I think it would be a big help to everybody around them. So I think that you'll see more diplomacy being spread by the Dems. You'll also see more, again, back to Biden, but this, I guess in some way he needs Congress's support. You're going to see more trade pacts, trade deals done with other countries to sort of lessen our connection or our dependence on China and Saudi Arabia and Russia and anybody else that would not be our best friend. So those are some of the things you're going to see in the world at large. Okay. And then conversely, if the Republicans have a strong showing, what's a couple of unintended domino effects that show up in the world at the large? I don't think the Republicans are going to have a strong showing. I feel like whoever gets elected is probably going to get tossed out pretty soon thereafter. So even if they made a strong showing, they would get reduced, their numbers reduced in the next year. So I don't know. I'm bullish. I'm bearish. I don't know what to say. If the Democrats don't do what the guides are showing me is going to happen, I will be speechless because I've never felt this kind of energy so strongly. So I'm going to just go with it. And leave it at that. Thank you for your question, Mickey Walk. Susie Abishima. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. And is it Cleta or Cleta? Cleta. Isn't it Cleta Mitchell, the lawyer, on the call with Trump to the Georgia Secretary of State Raffensperger? She was forced to step down from her partnership. Since then, she has been working to take over Secretary of State positions across the country. Makes my head want to come off my shoulders. She is also good friends with Jenny Thomas. Will she be held accountable for her support of the insurrection? Yeah, they can get her. Her hand was in the cookie jar. She left behind evidence. She left behind evidence that is very clear. Like, I mean, her name, her signature. It's hard to tell a judge that's not my signature, right? So she is going to be feeling the consequences. I'd have to say allegedly she did something bad. And allegedly she will feel the consequences of that. And then the guides just say, she's going down. I'm over here. She's allegedly, feeling the consequences. And the guides are like, yeah, she's going down. I love it. I love those guides. Okay. Thank you for your question, Susie. Victoria Cleary says, what does John McCain have to say at this point? Well, you guys know he had a temper. Was his temper a lot like John McEnroe? Why am I all of a sudden feeling John McEnroe throwing the tennis racket? That's how I feel like John McCain is right now. He's literally spitting. He's so mad. He's telling me I'm still not a Democrat, but I'm an independent, and these Republicans are wrong. They should be in jail. They should be fired. They should be investigated. They're criminals. Oh my God. He's spitting. He's so mad. And he's saying something about his wife doesn't deserve this. I don't know what's happening with his wife. Maybe it's with his daughter. Right. His wife doesn't deserve the treatment that she's getting from a family member. I think it's his daughter. She doesn't deserve this. He feels like his wife is just getting, shat on. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So yeah. He's pro Biden. He thinks that he is standing with his hand on his heart at the Jan 6 committee, at every single committee meeting, whether they were publicized or not. He stood there with his hand on his heart. And he said that is the Truth Commission. Wasn't there some kind of commission that, I don't know. Anyway, wasn't there a commission around McCarthy or something? Anyway, he says that it's a commission that's going to save democracy. And he's glad, he's happy that Nancy Pelosi and all these people are involved in this. The last thing he's saying is, he says, I would like to say that I didn't know this was going to happen. He said, but the writing has been on the wall. He said, the writing has been on the wall. We've seen this escalation. And it's escalated to a point where he couldn't have imagined ever in his life Americans storming the Capitol. He says that is the saddest day in the history of our country. That's what he says. That's the saddest day of the history of our country. Whew. So he's upset, I would say. And but he has hope. He has hope for our country. He says we're gonna get back on the right track. We're gonna get back on the right course. He's talking about Brittany Griner because she's being held like a political prisoner, in a sense, the way he was. He's and of course all the other political prisoners, Navalny. He's talking about all these people, and he's even talking about Reality Winner. He's talking about all these people that are being held, and also he's talking about these women in Iran that are just don't care. They're like, shoot us. Women and men, they're done. They're like, we don't want to live anymore if this is how we have to live. And he's just saying there's courage. This is courage. Wow. So he's going to make me emotional. He's saying that this is real courage. Storming the Capitol and beating police officers with a flagpole is cowardice. If you want to see courage, it's the January 6th committee. It's these people that are being held captive. It's these people that are standing up for their freedoms and being willing to be shot or arrested. That's courage. Going to vote is courage. Republicans are cowards. I didn't see that coming. Okay, dude, you can chill out now. You can kind of go over there and sit down. Because he's like in my face, like spitting. Whew, that almost made me emotional. I mean, my eyes are tearing up. Okay, I'm going to let that go. Thank you, John McCain. You know, I think we all share your sentiment. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Victoria, for that. Sue Adair says, do the guides have any updates on Josh Hawley? He's seeking immunity. I know. Don't yell at the screen. This is not me. 1-800-SPIRIT Guides. Press 1 for complaints, please. He's seeking immunity. He is a what can I say and not get in trouble? I feel, it is my opinion, that he is a BSer, that he is that he can stretch the truth. He's being fingered by somebody. Somebody's pointing at him. He's in a lineup. Somebody's pointing at him and saying, that's him. That's him. That's the one. That's the one that gave me this thing that I have. He was responsible for this. He participated in this meeting. Oh yeah, he's going down too. He's going down the river. Okay, there's the update. He's going down the river. Bye-bye, Josh. See you later. All right. Let me do a few more. I have no idea how long I've been talking, probably way too long. I keep trying to judge this, but there's no way to do that. Okay. Brenda Turner says, will Kamala Harris ever be president? That's a loaded question, Brenda, because I have said in many, many, many videos that she's going to be president. Because when I first saw her, she was being announced as the VP for Biden. He was just announcing, this is my VP. And I didn't know her because I'm not familiar with California politics. And so I saw her for the first time on that screen, and my guides said to me, she will be president. Now, this was before Biden became president. They were saying to me, she will be president. I feel like karmically, she's supposed to be president. I also feel like I don't see her being elected as president. Again, all you people that have an opinion, great. I'd love for you to have your opinion. But if you're going to argue with me, you need to just go ahead and call 1-800-SPIRIT Guides and press 1 for complaints, because this is the guide speaking. How do I know it's going to happen? I don't know anything. So she's not going to get elected. She's going to take over his term. I don't see anything really bad happening to him. I do not see that. I just see, for whatever health reasons, he steps down and she takes over. She becomes the law and order president. That is what they've been saying, what they're still saying. When they say something for a very long time, the longer the energy is relevant, the more likely it is to happen. When it's always changing, then we don't know if it's going to happen, right? Some of these races are so tight that's up, down, up, down, up, down. We can't know how that energy is going to shake out. But when they tell me, like Warnock, they said Warnock is going to win back when he was doing the runoff and nobody thought he would win. I said, the guide says Warnock's going to win. I say Warnock's going to win this time. They've told me Warnock has a karmic role to play, and he will be a long-term senator, a long-term representative of the people. So back to Kamala Harris. She has a role to play here. She's the law and order president. She's going to be president during that time when I talked about how we are going to have to tighten up some of our ideas around free speech, around media, around what you can say, what you can't say. What can you be sued for? What can you be charged with? We're going to have stricter laws, and that coincides with her becoming president. Now, whether or not that happens next year or the next term, I'm not sure. if I had to tell, if you had to ask me right now, I would say it's in the next year that she will take over. And then after that, I don't know what happens. And I can't tell you who her VP is. I keep asking them, who is her VP? And I cannot get it to save my life. So it must not be decided yet. It must not be decided because I literally I cannot tell you who her VP would be if she were president. But that's what I get. That's based on, the timeline that we're living in now. It seems like that energy is stable. It seems like it's likely to come true. More likely than not, I would say. So with that, I'm going to end this video. I just want to thank you so much for watching this video, for supporting me. I just so thrilled that you guys find this helpful, that I can channel the guides and give you their messages and that you find them helpful. I'm happy to be a part of the process. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I just want you to take really, 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 really good care of yourself. I'll probably do part 2 before Sunday, hopefully. So look for that. Part 2 is coming. There's still some great questions that you guys have asked that I will ask the spirit guides. So thanks again for tuning in. Take really good care. We'll talk soon right here on this channel. For entertainment purposes only.